I just can't wait to get out of here.
The phone calls the Charleston County Sheriff's Office didn't want you to hear.
And she's like trying to help me out. You don't need, like, I don't want you in here, like, you should be with your family.
The sheriff accused of playing favorites toward a DUI suspect accused of killing a bride hours after her wedding.
She's the head deputy, whatever. She was really nice too.
After a live 5 battle in the courtroom, we have obtained hours of calls and videos.
We don't care what happened, we care only about you.
A DUI suspect denied bond and still behind bars.
Dad, what did you do?
Live 5 News at 11 starts right now.
Now, from the Low Country's news leader, this is Live 5 News.
Tonight, we are bringing you a first look of jailhouse calls involving a suspect in a deadly crash that killed a newlywed bride on Folly Beach back in April. 25-year-old Jamie Komorowski is charged with 3 counts of felony DUI. On April 28th, authorities say Komorowski rear-ended a golf cart on East Ashley Avenue. One passenger, Samantha Miller, who had just gotten married earlier in the evening, died in that crash. Her groom, Eric Hutchinson, and 2 of Hutchinson's family members were injured in the crash. Reports state that Komorowski was going 65 miles per hour when the posted speed island-wide is 25 miles per hour. A blood toxicology report shows that Komorowski's blood alcohol level was .261 the night of the crash, more than 3 times the legal limit in South Carolina.
I never get to see my daughter again. If and when she does get sentenced, after she does her time, she'll have the rest of her life with her family.
All I can say is one person is responsible for tearing our lives apart, and a community.
Well, in newly released footage, Jamie Komorowski can be heard discussing many things, including a visit from Charleston County Sheriff Kristen Graziano. Emily Johnson joining us now. And Emily, what more can you tell us about the allegations against the sheriff?
Yes, Michael. Well, many have questioned possible signs of special treatment from Sheriff Kristen Graziano towards Komorowski from videos that you are about to see. Graziano addressed concerns of favoritism. She wrote multiple emails saying there was in fact nothing to worry about. The footage was released today after weeks of legal battle between Live 5 and the sheriff's office, when the office refused to release public materials after already giving them to the Post and Courier.
Here's the up thing. So I'm not in like the regular part, like upstairs, because of everything like on the news and everything.
Following accusations of special treatment, footage of Komorowski shows her speaking with her boyfriend and father about Graziano, speaking to and visiting her in jail. Jamie says Sheriff Graziano is, quote, trying to help her out.
Like, my dad said not for you not to like talk to anyone about like this or anything, but the deputy sheriff, like whatever, like the head person of Charleston County, I met with her today, and she's like trying to help me out.
The jail's website states that personal visitation is only online and only attorneys can visit in person.
Being really like sincere, and like she really wants to help, and like, so I'm really happy. She also is the one that got my mom and dad able to like visit me like in person. Like through a glass, but like in person.
In logs of calls made by Komorowski since she's been in jail, records show she attempted to make 271 calls during her first 23 days in jail from April 29th to May 21st. Of those calls, only 128 were completed. Komorowski expresses to her loved ones through tears how concerned she is about how long she will have to spend in jail and what others will think of her once she gets out.
That just like makes me scared that the media is so involved in it. Why are they so involved in it? Like,
because it sells newspapers. That's why, baby.
but that's not gonna help me. Like, oh my God, it's gonna be so bad when I get out. Everybody's gonna be so mean to me.
Throughout the videos that we have watched so far, Komorowski appears to show no remorse towards the crash or even mention the victims.
I still just don't know why this had to happen to me. I don't want to go to prison for 15 years. And I'm just, when all of this is done, and I can just be happy.
One key thing to remember throughout this entire case is not forgetting about the life lost and those affected by the tragedy.
My daughter meant the world to me. And I'm sure their daughter means the world to them. She doesn't need extra time to hug her family. She'll get it in the end.
During Komorowski's bond hearing on Tuesday, the judge denied bond, saying he felt that she was a flight risk.
She didn't just kill my daughter. She killed all of us.
We spoke with Samantha Miller's mother and sister today in response to the newly released footage, with them saying, quote, "We are so happy with the results of the judge's call for the bond hearing on Tuesday. I don't know if any of these calls and transcripts were actually in play of the judge's decision." They also added, "It hurts, but Sam is who she is, despite the fact that she isn't here, and Jamie is who she is." Reporting in the studio live, Emily Johnson, back to you, Michael.
All right, thank you, Emily. Now, you could hear Komorowski referring to meetings with Sheriff Kristen Graziano. Live 5 News received a separate FOIA today involving emails sent by Graziano. Those emails show several people reached out to the sheriff's office with concerns about special treatment after reading an article from a New York publication. In an email sent on May 22nd, Graziano told one person that no special treatment had occurred and that it is, quote, "our responsibility to ensure proper care for those people no matter who they are." In the same email, she says she has hundreds of residents in her facility that she is responsible for and makes every effort to accommodate reasonable needs and requests. The sheriff's office provided a statement to Live 5 News today that reads, "The sheriff does not have a special relationship with Komorowski's attorney. It is a professional relationship. What has been surmised by some of the Komorowski's video calls is not accurate in regard to any sort of special treatment. Some may think the situation is special, but it is not." Live 5 also received badge swipes that the sheriff made during the time Komorowski has been in jail. Those documents show Graziano has only visited with Komorowski twice and not at all since May. The sheriff's office says Graziano offered to set up a visit with the mental health director during that first encounter, and the second interaction was escorting the director to Komorowski's room before leaving.
Now, from the Low Country's news leader, this is Live 5 News.
A familiar sight in the courtroom today. A year after trying to fight for his freedom, convicted killer Alec Murdaugh is back in a courtroom. This time, trying to prove jury tampering is what led to his guilty verdict last year, and that it means he should get a new trial. Let's give you some background on what all has transpired. You remember the murders took place on June 7th, 2021 at the couple's Moselle property in Collin County. He was indicted about a year later on July 14th, 2022. And then the trial began January 23rd of last year. He was found guilty of the murders of both his wife, Maggie, and his son, Paul, and sentenced to life in prison in March of 2023. And now, that brings us to where we are today, where a new trial motion has been put into place, and we are in Columbia today waiting for a judge to rule on that.
That's right. That's what has led us up to this point today, where we are hearing even from some of the jurors in this case who the attorneys are saying that they were influenced by the clerk of court in that situation. Now, Live 5 has a team of reporters inside of the courtroom today where all of this is happening, and we are bringing you up to speed now on what has been going on. Michael Higdon and Blair Sable are in Columbia for us there. We are wanting to know if there is a ruling this evening. We're going to start with Michael.
Live 5 News starts now. Tracking Idalia.
Idalia brought strong winds, tornadoes, down trees, and flooding to areas all across the Low Country.
You're taking a look now at just some of that crazy weather that happened today, including video in the top right corner of your screen where a tornado picked up a car and flipped it in Goose Creek.
Yeah, crazy video there. Take another look. Goose Creek police say 2 people in that car were taken to the hospital for minor injuries.
Right now, Idalia making its way through and away from the Low Country after bringing serious rain, wind, and flooding to parts of the Low Country.
First Alert Chief Meteorologist Bill Walsh joining us. Bill, the big question now, have we seen the worst of it?
I think we have. In fact, we still have some flooding going on. We still have some inland rain and flooding going on, but you can see the most of the energy now being transferred on up into northern South Carolina. Still some big rain across parts of the Low Country, which I'm going to show you, but then it's going to continue to pull on up into North Carolina and then off the coast. coast. So the best thing right now is just to kind of hang in there. But we still have some gusty winds. We also still have some flood advisory we're going to talk about.
Tonight, our live team coverage continues as Adelia now makes its way out of the Low Country.
Ray Arena, Meredith Blair, Kevin Bilodeau, and Caitlin Ashbaugh all live across the Low Country. And Ray, we'll start with you at Edisto Beach. The wind and tides there caused some serious flooding.
Yeah, Michael, that wind and flooding was basically the main story today, just those tides going over the dunes, and it's resulted in debris like this of the palm fronds being littered around. I'm going to step off to the side real quick, and Michael, can you zoom into just what Highway 174 looks like right now on Edisto Beach? That is what it looks for. There's just a bunch of debris that workers will eventually have to clear out. You can see there's a giant pile of debris, but thankfully, the water is starting to recede from Edisto Beach. Now, earlier today, we reported that Dominion Energy has no power. There's no power here on Edisto Beach. Dominion Energy tells me that's because there's a tree. A part of a tree has fallen down on some lines, and it was dependent on the weather. But a spokesperson for Dominion Energy, Paul Fisher, tells me that early estimates suggest it'll be anywhere between 1 a.m. and 8 a.m. that power is fully restored to the island. According to their outage map, it's about 3,100 customers that are without power on Edisto Beach. But it's kind of a good news to report that the water is starting to recede, but there's going to be a lot of cleanup here on Edisto Beach. And again, we haven't yet seen what the beach looks like. We haven't been able to traverse that far. The water is still there. The roads are still flooded, and there's a ton of debris, so we haven't been able to see that. But when we do be able to see, when we're able to see more in the morning, we'll be sure to let you know. But for now, live in Edisto Beach, Ray Arena, Live 5 News.
Ray, quick question. For those of us who were here in 2016 when Matthew came through, we saw feet of sand that was really brought inland onto Edisto Beach. But from looking around you right now, have you seen that really this time around?
Yeah, Michael, when Edisto came around, like you just mentioned, I talked to a guy earlier. He went through Hurricane Matthew, and he said he had about 10 inches of water. As far as what I've seen some parts, the lower parts of Palmetto Road, which is where Coots is, for all the locals that are available, are aware and are familiar with the area where Coots is. That's one of the lower parts of the beach. That seems to be the part that is the most affected to that, along with 126 Palmetto. That sort of area is kind of the low end of the beach. That seems to be where most of the damage is. And as far further inland on the high ground over here on Jungle Road, where I'm standing right now, it seems to be a lot more debris and a lot of tree cover. But as of right now, it seems that the flooding is mostly contained to Palmetto Road. Michael.
Notorious for flooding is at downtown Charleston. Obviously, today the city had pumps working to take water out of the Battery area and back into the ocean to try and reduce the impacts. Meredith Blair live for us in downtown Charleston. And Meredith, what does the flooding look like for you guys?
Hey Michael, right now I'm on Calhoun Street and Washington Street, the intersection. I know it's kind of dark out here. It's actually pretty quiet, but there is some flooding, and these roads here in this area are closed right now. I want to show you, hopefully we can see at least something here. The water here, the further I back up, the deeper it goes, so I'm not going to get too deep here, but it goes at least up into ankle level. And Dominion here, they're actually on site. We can pan over. You might be able to see their headlights of their truck. The stoplights in this intersection are actually all out, so the Dominion crew, they're here working to restore the power in these stoplights. Like I said, the roads here are closed, so we're not seeing any cars coming in and out of this area. The water is definitely in the street here. I don't know how well we can see it, but you might be able to see a little bit of water reflection here on the road. Definitely not safe for cars to be traveling in and out, so that's why they have close these areas down. We will continue to monitor this area. Keep up to date with us on air and online. Live in downtown Charleston, Meredith Blair, Live 5 News.
All right, thank you, Meredith. And of course, thank you to all the crews working to restore power around the clock, our true heroes during this storm. And from downtown Charleston to the beaches, now we're taking a live look at Folly Beach here, where clearly it's windy, waves not quite crashing as hard as they were earlier, but still washing ashore pretty hard. Kevin Bilodeau live for us on Folly tonight. And Kevin, what are you seeing firsthand right now?
Yeah, Cameron, I'll be honest, it's actually pretty nice out here right now. There's a good little breeze. There was a slight mist just a couple of minutes ago, and if I hadn't been struggling to stay on my feet over at the Isle of Palms today, I wouldn't have even known that there was a hurricane or a tropical storm here in town this afternoon. But there is still some debris, a lot of debris actually on the road as you're coming over to Folly Beach. Actually, once you get to that bridge, we saw a good amount of debris, not necessarily from the trees coming down, but really from the high tides that the waters brought, and it was going over the roads and just left a lot of sticks and pieces of wood and all kinds of stuff all over the roads. So that's really the biggest amount of damage that we saw, at least coming over onto Folly Beach. And you want to be careful if you're coming to Folly to not go too fast on those roads, especially at the bridge, because there was so much. We saw a car that was right next to us, actually a Prius, actually ran into some of the debris and had to stop for just a minute just to make sure there was not too much under the car and they were able to keep going. But luckily everything seemed to be okay there. So really that's the big story from out at Folly right now. Just watch the debris on the road, and for now it looks like everything is good. Like you mentioned, the wave's still crashing down, but not nearly as hard as we saw about 6 hours ago over at the Isle of Palms. So it seems like here over at Folly things have done pretty well getting through this storm. That's going to wrap it up. From the Edge of America, I'm Kevin Bilodeau. Let's go back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Idalia still bringing a lot of activity to the South Carolina coast.
And of course, we'll have an update on it coming up after the break.
Live 5's team of First Alert meteorologists have been bringing you the very latest developments of Idalia as they come out throughout the day.
The storm now making its way through the low country as we speak. We have First Alert Chief Meteorologist Bill Walsh, Meteorologist Stephanie Sine, and meteorologist Chris Holtzman all with us tonight to break down Idalia.
Bill, we'll start with you on what's the very latest.
Yeah.